Live. Good afternoon, everyone. I am here with my dear friends James Holeman and Abbey Carpenter. They are going to tell us about a project that they're working on that is coming up in June. But first, we want to set the ground. We want to set the context. So I met James back when I was researching Crossing the Line, when my good friend, our mutual friend, Dora Rodriguez, had been notified by Alvaro Enciso that her sacred spot, the spot in Organ Pipe National Monument, where she nearly lost her life and in being saved sparked the sanctuary movement back in 1980. Her spot had been found. So James, who I believe was working and living in Arizona at that time, took us out as part of Battalion search and rescue to identify Dora's spot. So that's the only time I've ridden out into the desert with James, but it gave me a sense of what he does, what you do, and then which is to search and rescue, if possible, people who have died in our deserts as a result of government policies dating back to 1994, if not earlier, which is when Operation Gatekeeper kicked off. But then, James, you relocated from the Arizona borderlands to the New Mexico borderlands. So maybe we could start there. Give us a sense of who is, what is Battalion Search and Rescue, and what was your motivation for starting it? What was your motivation for switching from the Sonoran to the Chihuahuan deserts?
Sure. So let's see. I started doing the work in 2018 with
Hmm.
some of the groups from California, Mexican American groups, and they would come to Arizona and conduct these searches. And I was just shocked by what I witnessed immediately and did that for a couple of years. Really, I just wanted to see it expand. Honestly, I was kind of the only gringo often in the group, and I thought, where's everybody else here? This is our backyard. So I started the battalion in 2020
Hmm.
um, to get more people that look like me involved, to participate, to wake up, to be aware, um, to help. And also to expand the work. Living in Arizona, I was able to kind of reach more of the state, um, versus those groups. A lot of hardworking guys. They would travel late into the night, sleep barely any, and then work a lot in that Sonoran Desert around Ajo, Arizona.
Hmm.
Um, and being in Arizona, I saw that I could rally Arizona people and reach more of the border,
Hmm.
Nogales, Tucson area, and I did. And then in 23, I just wanted to see this work continue and expand.
Hmm.
And New Mexico was very unknown. It just so happened that it uh, my arrival and then partnering with Abbey in life and in work coincided with a massive uptick in um, crossings and fatalities in New Mexico. Uh,
Hmm.
so yeah, just bringing that work down the line, um, and reaching more people. And now we have an incredible group. You want to tell them about them?
Sure. Yeah, I joined James in 2023
Hmm.
in started searching in New Mexico, and we continue to search in Arizona in the winter when it's not so hot.
Hmm.
And because we're close to El Paso and Las Cruces, we have a larger pool of volunteers, and we have regular volunteers that come out every month, and the majority are women. We have immigration attorneys, refugee center workers, people that are former military, retirees, teachers. So we have a really solid core of return searchers, mostly women, and we go out once a month. And as James will tell you, we have been finding an inordinate number of female deaths. Along the
Yes.
border, along the 4 states, it's between maybe 15 and 20% are female. And in this area where we search, um, Doña Ana County, it's 55%. These are public statistics. That's
Wow.
verified by what we find, but those are statistics that are available for us to research, and we're not sure why there's so
So
many women.
so you are effectively documenting femicide and gender-based violence against women and girls. It may be human trafficking. Tell us what you're finding. I'm just gonna spoiler alert. I know that many of the remains that you find are not consistent necessarily with people who have died of hyper or hypothermia in the desert. So you are finding suspicious remains. And also, spoiler alert, you're not getting traction, you're not getting cooperation among the Doña Ana County responsibles. So, can you tell us about that? Give us a background in what you found and the pushback that you've experienced in verifying your findings.
Sure, Sarah. So, wow, we started working there in 23, and it just again coincided with this incredible uptick of crossings and fatalities, and predominantly women. And here we have this really powerful situation of women, often being led by women like Abbey, and finding mostly women.
Right.
Um, it was not something we knew about. It was unknown. Um, but this is what we fell into and have responded to. Um, so in this, it's so wild there because it's so concentrated. It's
Mm.
like a 5 by 10 mile area just west of El Paso, a few miles on the New Mexico side. We believe because of the aggressive enforcement in Texas, Operation Lone
Lone Star.
Star, these
Mhm.
type of things pushed people over to this little corner of New Mexico. And Juarez has a long history of sex trafficking, femicide,
Yeah.
and this is an extension of it. This is what we're seeing. Over 100 women have been found, and again, remember these are just the ones that are found.
Right.
Nobody's looking. In less than 2 years, in 23, 24.
Mhm.
Hi, Dora. Uh,
Hi, Dora.
and their average age is 29. The youngest are 16-year-old girls.
Oh my.
It's 130 women, I believe, so far. It's incredible, and many outlets have reported that this became the deadliest um, place in along the entire border.
Mm.
Um, so
So tell us
we
about
need
the
help.
pushback.
We need
Oh,
assistance, from these agencies,
right,
not
okay.
hostility, not pushback. We're not going away,
Right.
like they're trying to discourage us and bully us. Like it's insane. So they're the paid professionals. We're unpaid volunteers spending our own time and our own dime to do this work that nobody does. That they don't do, but they don't want us to do. So
These, as you mentioned earlier, that some of these deaths are suspicious to us. I've seen
Mm.
I've seen many, many, many sites with human remains, and generally the remains, sorry, audience, are within the clothing or near it. But we've also found these sites where all the woman's clothes are separate. All and her remains are over there. That's not how people die. That's separate. I've seen enough. I know that that is suspicious. And yet when we look at that death on the public available site, it says died of exposure.
Mm.
I would like to know that the Office of the Medical Investigator and the Sheriff's Office conducted a crime scene investigation. This is an unaccompanied death, and it seems very suspicious to me. Did they check for sexual assault ahead of time, or did they just check that box? So these deaths, these women's deaths, have been normalized. These are migrant deaths. They don't deserve, they don't warrant, they should have come a different way. And I don't believe that they are getting investigated as they should. That's the thing I would like to see by the sheriff's office, by the Office of the Medical Investigator, because these are humans with
Yeah.
families, with
Yeah.
relations, with communities. They
Yeah.
deserve to be investigated.
100%, 100%. And when you go, I know that some of these officials have accused you of planting the remains, of tampering with the crime scene. Um, Tell us how you do the work. Tell us how you go out into the desert, what you're looking for. I've read your stuff. You're looking left, you're looking right. I've seen pictures of you and the team in sort of a couple feet away from each other, walking in a semi straight line. So tell us, what are your methodologies and how are you keeping, being careful not to tamper with or, effectively create a drama that actually exists?
Yeah, that's you explained it pretty well, Sarah. We get in a line and we're evenly spaced. It's a little bit further than that. We want our fields of vision to overlap, be
Mhm.
far enough apart that we can cover a lot of area with our volunteers, but not so far apart that we're missing areas. And we walk in that steady line and we look left and we look right and we glance out and we look behind us and we look left and we look right and we continue. We go for miles. And what we often are finding are skeletal remains. And when we find a site, if someone does, they might say on the radio, Abby, could you come check this? Because we're not always sure it's a human. There might not be a skull, but there are other things around. We go and we check. And then we do 3 things at that site at that point, maybe 4. But the 3 things we always do is we get accurate GPS points of all the areas where there are human remains, bones,
So you
clothing,
can
stuff.
tell the medical examiner, for example.
Exactly where that is. We put pink ribbon in highest bushes around we can find to help them find that site.
Uh-huh.
And we take overhead photos with forensic rulers on certain bones for sizes and such. And then the 4th thing, we usually have a moment of silence or a prayer.
Mhm,
Think
mhm.
of the person that died there, think of their family. And then we reform our line and we continue on. We're going to report that later, but we continue on. We have found multiple sites in one day. So we don't stay at the site because we've done that. It takes 8, 9, 10 hours for them to come. We're not going to
If they come
compromise.
at all,
Yeah,
right?
we've had
Mhm.
6 times. So that's what our searches look like. And it's shocking and emotionally sort of jarring to find human remains on public land. It's not a cow bone, it's a human. And you think, wait, we are on public land. I'm hiking on public land and I found a human.
Wow.
Something's wrong, deeply, deeply wrong with that. And we do it every month. Almost every month, we are finding remains in
Every
that area.
time you go out, you find a new site.
Not every time, almost. And sometimes we'll find 2 or 3 at the same on the same search day. Different because we're on
Wow,
different groups on different times. Go ahead.
wow. Do you wanna
Um,
add something? Go ahead.
yeah, I just want to make this really clear. Nobody does this. Nobody
Yes.
does this. We, our government, we hunt people to death. We've militarized the border. We have all the funding for the technology and the surveillance and the quads and the blimps and the drones. But then when they die, we don't have the money for that. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Bullshit.
Yeah.
So let's be clear here. We hunt people to death and then we abandon them.
Yeah.
This is
Especially
what
for
we're doing.
women.
So we are community members. We are responding. Their
Mhm,
families can't come and search for
mhm,
them.
mhm.
Uh, I mean, look at the statistics of this area. 55% of the deaths are women. It's normally 15 to 18%. This is triple anywhere else along the border.
So let me interrupt. When you say normally 15 to 18%, you're saying typically across the border from El Paso to Tijuana, 15 to 18% of the deaths that are found are women. But in your little corner, it's 55.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. And to take it a little further, in this one county, in this one little area just west of El Paso, 300 have been found in about the last 8 years. 100 have been identified as men,
Mhm.
130 have been identified as female, and 100 roughly are still unidentified.
Mhm.
So this is a humanitarian crisis. This is a
Yes.
public safety crisis,
Yes.
but you hear nothing about it.
Yeah.
You hear about Zorro Ranch. There's a
Yeah.
truth commission. They have millions of dollars now dedicated to searching there. They have subpoena power, and they
Mhm.
have no bodies. God bless. Let's search there. It's important, right?
Mm.
But 5 hours south, you have 130 women found with nobody looking, with a handful of
Right.
volunteers,
Right.
and some completely negligent agencies. A medical investigator that's just rubber stamping these deaths as exposure.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
We've returned to 18 sites that were previously recovered and processed. We found human bones were left behind at all 18 of them.
Mm.
This is the kind of work that they're doing. We have half a dozen sites that we reported to
Mm.
3 different deputies, and they just didn't come. They just didn't show up. And they were out there for 6 months to a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And we had to report multiple times. We had to go in front of the county board, to complain. The level of normalization and minimization and
And the
pushing out
sheriff
is.
has attacked you,
Oh yeah,
Multiple times.
we planted bones.
according to her.
We're dishonest.
Yeah.
I can't even keep track. We're horrible. But they don't go search, and she's not out there searching, and none of her deputies are searching. But when community members go, it's really obvious, what's happening here, and we're not
Mhm.
going away.
And it must be terribly, I mean, all of this is disheartening, but also because we know that the desert eats up a body real fast, so if they're not gonna go out there and recover the remains that you find when they're closer to being fresh, they're gonna just get disappeared by the desert.
Sarah, and they also have clothing and IDs and cell
And
phones, and they
backpacks.
leave them there.
Oh
And
my god.
and they leave them there. They are doing everything they can to suppress this. Sorry,
No,
sweetie.
no, that's great. It gets to this point where I have to talk with my hands because it's appalling. I mean, the desert is vast. I'm not sure how many of your listeners, it's just vast. And yet this group goes out and we do this systematic search and we find remains. How many more are out there?
Yeah.
It's mind boggling. And yet as James says, there's no organization, there's no government agency that is
Right.
tasked with searching.
No.
And when we do find remains, it's all these hurdles and obnoxious talk and these threatening conversations that we have. And I want to say, this is your job.
Yeah.
You are a professional. You chose this profession. It's so easy to get to this place. This is a human that's deceased here. Why are we having to have this argument every month?
And the
We had
and
one we had one
the
deputy that said, "I don't have a vehicle to go out there, so I'm not going to go." And we have
bullshit.
this we
He
I
didn't
mean,
go.
a woman's cranium, her all her
Her
bones,
clothes.
her clothes, a cell phone, and he just said no. He just said no.
And I thought, no, no, no.
Deputy Vargas.
And
And
it must be
a few
said
months
if
later, we had an interfaith memorial service at that site.
yeah.
And this has become one of our repeated lines in our organization is nuns, these women, sisters from Chaparral, they came to the Interfaith Memorial and they got out there in a minivan.
On
Wow.
these roads.
So we often say nuns in minivans were able to get out there, and you couldn't go, in your taxpayer funded 4x. Anyway,
or in your little drone, or
yeah,
in your watchtower chair in your
Yes.
office that's air conditioned. I mean, they know everything that's going on. We
yeah,
have their surveillance. They
and
should
they've
be able to stop this before it happens.
and they have historically criminalized humanitarian aid. We've
Yes,
seen it before in other states, right?
yes.
And here they are trying to do it. Um,
Well, it must be said that the Department of Homeland Security never ever made it necessary. Congress never made it necessary for the Department of Homeland Security to keep a tally of the dead. And so they don't.
Mhm.
My understanding is that only Pima County coroner, medical examiner, has been helpful, has been engaged and collaborative with folks like you who are out there searching. That's one county across the entire US Mexico border. Otherwise, it's individuals like you, like Eddie Canales, may he rest in peace, like Michael DeBrule is on the call, and I know that he and Hope Border Institute have also been tracking deaths, but on the Texas side of your borderline. It's Armadillo Search and Rescue, Border Angels. These are all individual groups that are doing the work that you're doing, and the government isn't helping, except in Tucson, except in Pima County. So let's shift gears to how you are, what efforts you are making, in particular your effort coming up this June, called Not Forgotten Project, Para las Madres. Tell us about that, and how you are hoping it will shine a light on the issue and bring more people to the border to help, or allow people like me who can't get to the border to be there with you in spirit, if not virtually.
yeah, sure. And like you said, all those orgs are operating, and it seems like maybe just one county is on board, but it's changing.
Okay, good.
It's changing. It's changing slowly. It's difficult. It's a learning curve for them, but they're learning, and it's changing. We're already being contacted by like the next sheriff candidates, for the next election,
Oh,
because
good.
they want to be involved because they know we're not going away, and they know they need to
Address this.
address this. They can't stick their head in the sand. Forgive the term. So yes, we are. We've launched this project, the Not Forgotten Project. We often say we search for the lost but not forgotten. Abby's new book she's working on, is working title is
Not forgotten.
Not Forgotten.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
and anyway, it's a week long intensive search effort. We're going to be out there for 6 days in a row. Normally we're only out there once a month, aside from a few other reconnaissance visits. So 6 days of searching. We're going to have a book reading, book sales, and uh, event. We'll be having a book signing as well,
And a
and
faith
with
gathering.
Jen Budd, some
Uh-huh.
other authors, Abbey, of course, who co-wrote Dora's memoir recently.
Mhm.
Hi, Dora, and
Mhm.
which those books will also be available there. We're going to have an activist talk and conversation in El Paso at the Borderlands Rainbow Center, which is an LGBTQ center
Nice.
in El Paso. And then on Sunday, to wrap things up, we're going to have an all women led faith gathering in the desert. This is who shows up. The majority of our volunteers are women. We know this. I might be a big loudmouth gringo, man, but this is who shows up, and we're honoring that, and we honor that, by our, in our swag that we wear, the Las Buscadoras,
Mhm.
um, and we're really
Wonderful.
grateful for that, and yes, This is the Not Forgotten Project, and it is para las madres. It's for the mothers.
I want to add one
We
thing.
all have mothers, right?
I want to add one thing about these searches. When we find these remains, it feels like a rescue.
Mm,
And the desert is disappearing them, and nobody's looking, and they'll be gone. And this Jesuit priest talked to us and said, what we're doing is so that death won't have the final word. And so when we go out there on this Not Forgotten project, 6 days with groups of searching, we will help rescue these humans from being lost forever in the desert. And that's
mm.
really a big part of this week for us, for me.
Amazing. So I will put the information about the Not Forgotten Project in the show notes once this live is published. But for those of you listening, it's Monday, June 1st to Friday, June 5th, Saturday, June 6th, press conference, book signing in El Paso, and Sunday, June 7th, a faith gathering in the desert with the nuns and buses. So be sure to go. There's also a GoFundMe to help raise money for this. And so you can participate that way. And if you have the bandwidth and the broadband, we could do another live from there as well if you'd like to at some point during that week or multiple times during that week. So I'm so grateful to you guys. I love you and I love what you're doing. And I know that it is hard as hell. So just to wrap up, let's shift to a hopeful note because I know I've been with you. It's hard to wake up some days. Um, Knowing that these horrors are taking place, a new horror every day, and that so few people care. But you do. So, one of the things that I am doing with this Substack Live series is thinking ahead to the days when this regime has been overthrown, when these dark days are finally behind us. What we know is that we can't go back because if we go back, we'll just get here again because this didn't start with Trump and co. They were bequeathed a machinery of misery by politicians on both sides of the political aisle throughout the entire governing through the entire governing ecosystem going back decades. So we need to reimagine the world we want to live in, and in particular, reimagine immigration because it is immigration that this regime weaponized to drive democracy into crisis. So, given that, and I'm sure you agree that we cannot go back, that we must move forward, how do you reimagine immigration? What is the world you would like to live in?
Um, I'll start with I look forward to a world where I don't have to do the work I do.
Mm,
I'm glad I can do it, but I would like to see things change to the point where I don't have to search for missing and deceased migrants. So a couple of things from that are um, to have the question answered: why are people coming here? Not
mhm,
how do we stop them? That's all we focus on. How do we stop them? But why are they coming here? I'd like to see that addressed.
mhm,
And also, I would like people to read John Washington's book, A Case for Open Borders. It's
mhm.
a fabulous, well researched, easily accessible book. So that's what I would like to see in the future. Put me out of my volunteer job right now. Help me find a new one. I'll
Yeah,
get there.
I concur with reading John's book as well as Dora's, yours when it comes out, mine too. But yeah, the borders are open to goods and money. They're not open to people, and we have to change that. Thank you, Abby.
Mhm.
James.
Um, well, wow. uh, what a question. You know, the desert has been weaponized here in the US, right? In
Mhm,
Europe, you have your oceans where refugees, migrants disappear. We have our desert. Very similar, and it just takes a little bit longer, honestly. And it gives us this opportunity to go and search. And it's out of sight, it's out of mind. The government is able to control the narrative, but not so much anymore. Not with stubborn people like us. Great, groups like the Aguilas and the Armadillos, Parallel 31,
Mm.
we go deep and into the Sonoran Chihuahuan Desert, and the Mothers of the Disappeared in Mexico. I mean, so it's exposure. It's a beautiful thing. These deaths are not happening in silence anymore. These groups like Humane Borders and No More Deaths with their migrant mortality maps, incredible, powerful tools. And
Yeah.
we know that many of these deaths won't be identified, but they become part of the story. They become part of the mosaic. And this story is being told. People like you with Crossing the Line, which will be available during the book signing and book sales event in El Paso.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And sorry, I know I'm rambling, but in the end,
The world
I
needs,
also had written down here John Washington's A Case for Open Borders, and it's not open borders. It's being better neighbors.
yes,
Not building walls and
yes,
hunting people to death and militarizing our border. It's extending a hand.
yes.
It's showing kindness and being better neighbors. Love thy
Very.
neighbor. You know
I love it.
that's it in a nutshell. And recognize that we are sharing the same continent,
Yeah.
right? We are sharing the same planet,
Yeah.
and we're all related. There and enough with the dehumanization and criminalization of people just to get elected. It's bullshit. And that's exactly what happens. And I'll stop my rambling there.
Amen. I love everything you said. Well, listen, guys, again, thank you for all that you're doing. Stay strong. Keep your allies close because the only way through this is together. And I wish I could be with you in June. Oh, you froze. If you're still there, good luck in June. And we'll call it over. It looks like we lost our guests. So thank you everybody for coming, and I'll make sure you have links to the Not Forgotten Project and to the various books and organizations that were mentioned during this live. Thanks so much for joining us today, and see you soon.